My name is Amelia Reed. I'm 32 years old. Competence in my world isn't a proclamation. It's choreography. Every bill, every appliance, every small decision lines up like dominoes. Silent, precise, inevitable. At 12:01 a.m., the dishwasher switches to off-peak because I said it months ago. The last cell in my budget glows green, steady as a heartbeat. My condo, deed, and utilities in my name, breathes with calm authority. Nobody toasts ballast. You only notice it when the boat lurches. Tonight, it lurched. Leo, my boyfriend of 4 years, has that loose, easy smile, the one that sets off alarm bells the moment it appears. He had come home with that practiced charm, the kind that made everyone think he was harmless, trustworthy. But over the last few weeks, I had begun to notice subtle cracks, unexplained texts, small lies, hours spent at work that didn't add up. Still, I told myself, patience, let's see. Dinner had been ordinary, a shared plate of roasted chicken, steamed vegetables, a glass of wine that felt more like ritual than indulgence. I was scrolling through my credit card statement, not because I was suspicious, because I pay the bills, but something caught my eye. A $2,500 charge at Willow Creek, a boutique resort I'd never heard of. It was coded as spa services and room rental. I waited until Leo came down, distracted by his phone. "Hey," I said casually, trying to keep my voice even. "What's this $2,000 charge at Willow Creek?" "Willow." For a heartbeat, he froze. Then his head snapped up and his face was pure venom. "Are you spying on me? Checking my spending? Unbelievable." "I'm not spying," I said, keeping my tone calm. "I'm paying the bill. I just want to understand what this is. It's a huge charge." "It's none of your business," he snapped. "It's for me, my self-care. I've been stressed." "We're supposed to be a team," I said softly. "Big expenses should be discussed." "Oh my God, a team," he scoffed, his voice rising, that high, ready edge I'd come to recognize. "You're not a teammate, Amelia. You're an accountant, a walking, talking spreadsheet. So boring. I feel like I'm 60 trapped in this life with you." My chest tightened. Boring. Yes, boring. But the word cut through more than annoyance. It felt like an accusation I hadn't earned, a verdict I hadn't voted on. And then came the words that made my stomach drop. "I wish I'd never been with you," he said, throwing his phone onto the counter. The silence that followed was absolute. My heart didn't pound. It stopped. Everything went cold and quiet. I looked at him. Really looked. This furious, entitled stranger, the man I thought I knew. I nodded slowly. "Granted," I said. "What?" His anger faltered, replaced by confusion. "You heard me," I said. "Granted. You wish you'd never been with me? Consider it done." He opened his mouth, but no words came. I turned and walked to my office, pulling out a folder I'd prepared months ago, the "in case of emergency" file. The distant feeling had been real. The hours he'd spent on his phone were real. And yes, I had learned things over the past 2 months. I had a professional, Mike, a private investigator, confirming suspicions I hadn't dared voice. Leo wasn't just distracted, he was planning. Delara Allister, his ex, the one he kept secret, the one he'd been seeing in bits and pieces for months. She was the real reason for the Willow Creek charge, a romantic getaway disguised as self-care, and worse, this was never just a fling. The evidence suggested premeditation, plans, texts, emails. A strategy to secure financial gain while pretending to be a devoted partner. I didn't flinch when Leo started pounding on my office door. "Amelia, wait, I'm sorry, I didn't mean..." I closed the drawer, locking it. "You wished you'd never been with me," I said, voice calm. "I'm making it official. 2 calls, one to my lawyer, Arthur. We're executing the plan. File for annulment based on fraudulent inducement. She just confirmed it. 1 to my bank. Cancel the authorized card Leo had access to. No replacements." I packed a small bag, laptop, documents, the file. When I walked past him, sitting on the stairs, he tried to plead. "Amelia, please, let's just talk." "This isn't a conversation anymore," I said, opening the front door. "You wished it. I'm granting it." The cold night air was refreshing. I was in motion, and for the first time in weeks, I felt a faint spark of freedom. I wasn't naive. I knew this would trigger an eruption. Leo, Delara, their parents, Alistair and Beatrice. I knew they would try everything, but I also knew one thing. The plan was airtight. The law was on my side, and for the first time in a long while, I felt like the conductor of my own life again. The boat had lurched, and now it was righting itself. The morning after I walked out, the apartment felt quieter than ever. Quiet, but not peaceful. I poured myself coffee, the liquid dark as the unease swirling in my mind. I reviewed the files I had pulled together over the last 2 months, the texts, emails, and notes Mike, the PI, had painstakingly compiled. Delara Allister, Leo's ex, the woman who had shadowed our relationship from behind a veil of secrecy. She wasn't just someone from his past, she was a strategist. Every message, every subtle manipulation, all pointed to one thing: fraud. Mike's report was meticulous. Delara and Leo had met months before the engagement. They'd fought, broken up, and reconnected in secret. The texts, time-stamped and preserved, made it unmistakable. Lines like, "Just get through this, baby. Once you're with him, you'll have him locked down. He's naive. He'll fund our life. 6 months. Let the dust settle." I felt a chill, but no panic. I wasn't in that room with them. I wasn't helpless. I was Amelia Reed, and I had every advantage: knowledge, planning, and the law on my side. Leo tried calling. One missed call, then another. I ignored them. He had no idea that I had anticipated this. No idea that I had already set the wheels in motion. The $20,500 charge at Willow Creek wasn't a mistake, and it wasn't self-indulgence. It was a rehearsal, a prelude to a lifestyle he and Delara thought they could steal from me. Spa days, weekend retreats, secret rendezvous, all billed to me under the guise of routine expenses. I remembered the moment he said, "I wish I'd never been with you." The words had been a trigger, a confession disguised as anger, and I had granted it. That simple word, granted, wasn't cruelty. It was the beginning of accountability. Over the next 2 hours, I made precise, deliberate calls. "Arthur, my lawyer, we're executing the plan. File for annulment immediately. The evidence confirms fraudulent inducement. She just admitted it herself indirectly." My bank, cancel the authorized user card. No replacements. Every financial avenue they could exploit was sealed. Packing my essentials, I moved methodically. My condo was still mine in every legal sense. The house, the accounts, the deed, everything. Their assumptions about control, about manipulation, about entitlement were about to collapse. Later that day, I revisited the PI report. Emails between Delara and Leo revealed the depth of the premeditation. "He's so naive. He'll fund our entire life. Just be patient. We'll have it all. Then we can realize we're unhappy." The audacity was staggering. They had scripted the perfect con, but they hadn't counted on me. I rehearsed my next moves in my mind like a conductor pacing the stage before the orchestra enters. There was no rage in me, not yet, only clarity. Every text, every call, every piece of evidence was a brick in the wall I was building around the life they'd tried to steal. By evening, Leo was frantic. He came down the stairs, eyes wide, voice panicked. "Amelia, please, let's just talk." I didn't move. Calm, steady, unwavering. "You wish this," I said, voice like ice. "I'm granting it. Legally, emotionally, financially, you're going to see every action has consequences." His face fell. The smirk, the charm, the practiced facade, all gone. Confusion. Shock. I had always wondered how someone could live in a world of entitlement and be unprepared for accountability. Now I knew. Delara, wherever she was, didn't know either. The text messages, the emails, the clandestine weekend plans, all exposed to legal scrutiny. There was no escape. The boat had lurched once, but now it was steady. And I was at the helm. By nightfall, I was at a long-stay hotel. My condo safe, my files in hand, my plan in motion. The annulment petition had been drafted, the evidence organized. Morning would bring chaos for them. Morning would bring reality. And I would be ready, calm, prepared, unshakable. Because Amelia Reed doesn't flinch. Amelia Reed plans. Amelia Reed executes. The morning of the annulment filing, I felt a curious mix of dread and anticipation. I had prepared for this moment meticulously. Every piece of evidence, every detail Mike had uncovered, every anomaly in Leo and Delara's story was documented, dated, and cross-referenced. Delara, predictably, did not take it well. Within hours, my phone lit up with missed calls, not just from her, but from her parents, Alistair and Beatrice. My calm facade remained intact. All communication was directed to Arthur, my lawyer. The first confrontation came 4 days later, not at my condo, not anywhere I could be cornered. Somehow they found me at the hotel. Alistair, face purple with rage, stepped into the lobby as if about to explode. "You will stop this! Stop it now!" he roared. I sipped my coffee, serene. "Hello, Alistair. You shouldn't be here." All communication goes through Arthur. "Are you trying to shame my daughter? Bring disgrace on our family?" I met his gaze evenly. "Your daughter did this herself. Texts, emails, clandestine meetings with Leo. This is documented. I'm simply tidying up the paperwork." His face twisted in disbelief, then horror, as he realized the tide had turned. He sputtered about dowry and gifts, but I smiled calmly. "Quite the opposite. I'm returning everything. Once the house is sold, the $200,000 dowry goes straight back to your account. The remaining equity will be divided fairly. Nothing more, nothing less." Alistair's color drained. He finally understood. This wasn't a negotiation. It was a liquidation of a fraudulent scheme. Delara's counterattack was predictable. Lawyers engaged, claims filed. I was controlling, abusive, financially restrictive. She painted herself as the victim. She requested emergency orders, exclusive use of the house, reinstatement of credit cards, temporary alimony, legal fees. Her courtroom theatrics were dramatic, calculated, but hollow. The emergency hearing was illuminating. Delara arrived, demure blouse, tissues in hand, eyes brimming with practiced tears. Behind her, Leo sat, looking like a man who had won the lottery. But the moment the evidence was introduced, his confidence faltered. Arthur presented the case with surgical precision. Exhibit A, the PI report. Exhibit B, a 40-page binder of texts and emails between Delara and Leo. One text, sent just a week before our engagement, read, "He's so boring. He'll never suspect a thing. Once married, we'll have it all. Just be patient." The judge, a woman in her 60s with a gaze like tempered steel, watched as Delara's facade crumbled. Counsel argued circumstantial evidence, invasion of privacy. The judge's response was icy. "This directly contradicts your client's testimony. It is evidence of fraud." Delara's emergency requests were denied. No exclusive use of the house, no alimony, no credit cards. The judge's words cut through the pretense. "The house will be addressed in the final judgment. I will not order Mr. King to finance what appears to be a criminal enterprise. Counsel, encourage your client to settle, strongly." The fallout was immediate. Settlement talks began. Arthur's terms were non-negotiable. Proceed with annulment and recover all gifts, dowry, and equity, publicly humiliating Delara. Or accept an uncontested divorce mirroring the financial outcome of the annulment. Dowry returned, house sold, no alimony, legal fees on her dime. The great reveal came during the soulmate showdown. Delara's plan had hinged on Leo funding their new life together. But once she realized the resources she expected were gone, Leo vanished, disappeared, packed his minimal belongings, left a text. "Apparently, this is way too much drama. I need to find my center." Delara's desperate attempts to reconcile or manipulate were futile. She was exposed, financially ruined, and abandoned. The people she thought would protect her, Leo and her family, were powerless against the weight of her own schemes. I watched from the sidelines, detached but not unfeeling. The justice wasn't poetic. It was procedural, methodical. It was me, Amelia Reed, executing precision and consequence. The boat had lurched, but now it floated steadily. The weeks following the hearing were a blur of logistics and paperwork. The house sold faster than I expected, leaving enough equity to settle the dowry, return gifts, and finalize all remaining financial matters. Delara moved back in with her parents, stripped of illusions, driving her mother's old minivan. The lavish lifestyle she had counted on, the one she tried to steal from me, vanished overnight. Her family's anger wasn't directed at the betrayal or the affair, but at the incompetence of it all. Alistair and Beatrice had spent years meticulously planning her secure future, only for Delara to mismanage it with greed and misjudgment. They were furious, not at her deception, but at her failure to execute it properly. Leo was gone, completely gone. His abandonment left Delara alone with the consequences of the choices she had made. The man who had promised her a life funded by others had vanished the moment reality struck. No texts, no calls, just silence. As for me, I moved into a smaller apartment, a place fully mine. No shared spaces, no hidden agendas, no deceit. The quiet was unfamiliar at first, almost jarring, but it was mine. For the first time in months, I could breathe without anticipating manipulation, without calculating every interaction, every word, every glance. I spent hours sorting through legal bills, filing statements, and making sure the settlements were executed perfectly. I had won, technically, but it didn't feel like victory. The hollow ache of betrayal lingered. The months of careful planning, the sleepless nights, the emotional and financial toll, it left a residue I couldn't erase. I wasn't happy, I wasn't triumphant, I was simply free. The irony wasn't lost on me. Delara had tried to orchestrate the perfect con from day one. Every secret meeting, every hidden charge, every manipulation was meant to secure her future at my expense. And yet, by the very rules she had tried to exploit, she had failed. She had wished she had never been with me. I had granted it. As I unpacked the last of my things, I allowed myself a moment of reflection. The house, the dowry, the gifts, they were all returned. The illusion of love that Delara and Leo had constructed was gone. The boat had lurched violently, but now it floated steady, and I was at the helm. Freedom was quieter than I imagined. There were no cheers, no fanfare, just the steady, methodical rhythm of a life regained, one deliberate choice at a time. I wasn't a girlfriend anymore. I wasn't a target. I wasn't a pawn in someone else's game. I was Amelia Reed, competent, unshakable, in control. And for the first time in a long time, that was enough.